What happens when a cover-up is handled by people who don't know how to cover anything up? Because that's exactly what we're watching right now in real time with Jeffrey Epstein, Elon Musk, the Justice Department, and Donald Trump all colliding in a way that's exposing far more than anyone in power intended. Elon Musk didn't just stir the pot, he hurled a grenade into it, and the fallout is still spreading. If DOJ proved anything at all, it's that chaos can be created very quickly when people treat government like a tech demo. That chaos is no longer theoretical, it's landed directly on Donald Trump, and it's dragging the Epstein story back into the spotlight in the worst possible way for this administration. What makes this moment so unsettling is how darkly absurd it all is. Because once again, the people tasked with managing one of the most sensitive scandals in modern history are failing at the most basic level, not subtly, not quietly, publicly, repeatedly. So let's start where all of this really begins, the cover-up itself. From day one, this has been a masterclass in how not to handle a crisis. Corrupt, yes, but also clumsy, sloppy, almost impressively incompetent. Right before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, the Justice Department quietly dropped another batch of Epstein documents, a classic holiday move, bury the news when people are distracted, traveling, or tuned out. But the plan didn't work, because even a quick look at this document dump revealed some glaring problems. First, there's the law, a law passed with near unanimous support that required the full release of all relevant Epstein documents by a specific deadline. That deadline came and went. And what did the public get? Only a fraction of the material. Even after this latest release, most of the documents that are legally required to be public are still missing. That alone should raise alarms. Then there's the redactions. Huge sections of these files are blacked out. Names, context, entire passages. And in many cases, there's no logical explanation for why. That matters because the law is very clear on this point. Redactions are not allowed for embarrassment. They are not allowed for reputational harm. They are not allowed for political sensitivity. Those excuses are explicitly prohibited, and yet that's exactly what appears to be happening. Despite all of this, this particular batch of documents still contained some of the most important information we've seen so far about Epstein's criminal network and the government's internal discussions about accountability. The most explosive revelation is a July 2019 email exchange. In that exchange, federal investigators openly discussed 10 potential Epstein co-conspirators. 10, let that number sink in. To this day, only one Epstein co-conspirator has ever been charged, Ghislaine Maxwell. 10 were being considered, one was prosecuted. And the names of the others, mostly redacted, with no legal justification. The entire reason survivors and the public have been demanding these files is to expose exactly this kind of information. Who participated, who enabled, who escaped consequences. And it doesn't stop there. Another email references a 7-page memo titled Co-Conspirators We Could Potentially Charge. It also mentions an updated 86-page memo drafted later in 2019, plus a 13-page corporate prosecution memo. That's a lot of material. None of it has been released, not one page. Survivors have spent years fighting for transparency. Lawyers have filed requests. Advocates have pushed. Laws have been passed. And the Justice Department is still sitting on critical evidence. This story is not just about what Donald Trump did or didn't know, though that question matters more now than ever, given that he is president again. This is about a system that repeatedly shields powerful, wealthy men while failing the people they harmed. And the most striking thing is how bad they are at hiding it. Donald Trump, in particular, appears completely consumed by this scandal. Every time pressure builds, he reacts emotionally. He lashes out. He posts, he attacks, and every single time he makes the situation worse. There's an old saying, haste makes waste. That's exactly what's happening here. After one of Trump's Christmas posts about Epstein, an Epstein survivor responded with a short, devastating line. Every accusation is a confession. That response captured what so many people are seeing, but the self-inflicted damage didn't end there. When the first batch of Epstein files was released earlier, it became obvious that the Justice Department hadn't even done basic quality control. Trump's name appeared where it shouldn't have. Photos were mishandled. And most shockingly, the redactions themselves were fake. People quickly discovered that you could highlight the blacked out text, copy it, paste it into another document, and read exactly what was supposedly hidden. You could search for Trump's name and find it hundreds of times. That's not a sophisticated leak, that's amateur hour. So how did this happen? Because real redaction requires professional software. And Elon Musk in a very public cost-cutting move, canceled Adobe Pro subscriptions across large parts of the federal government. Adobe Pro includes actual redaction tools. Without it, what you get is cosmetic censorship, black boxes over text that still exists underneath. The result, a massive accidental disclosure of information that was supposed to be hidden. In other words, Donald Trump effectively exposed himself through sheer incompetence. It's almost hard to believe. At times it feels surreal, like watching someone light their own hair on fire and then demand you stop staring. And no, at this point, asking questions is not conspiratorial. Too many questions that were once dismissed have turned out to be entirely justified. Which brings us to the subject everyone seems desperate to keep off limits: Jeffrey Epstein's death. Remember those documents that briefly appeared and then vanished? One involved a supposed letter from Epstein referencing suicide. Another was an obviously fake AI-generated video showing Epstein in his cell. Both reinforced the same narrative. And then both were pulled. That's the Streisand effect in action. If you want people to notice something, hide it badly. The Epstein files aren't just about his life in the 1990s and 2000s. They're about what happened in that jail, why the camera went out, what happened during the missing minute, why there were no meaningful follow-ups, and why those questions still don't have clear answers. The Justice Department's behavior demands unquestioning trust on one specific claim, that Epstein unquestionably took his own life. Meanwhile, the same department is mishandling documents, violating disclosure laws, and botching basic redactions. That's not skepticism, that's blind obedience. And nobody is required to give them that. Even Epstein's own brother has publicly said that he believed Donald Trump and Bill Barr, both of whom had connections to Epstein, were involved. He also warned about a coordinated mass redaction effort. He wasn't wrong. Survivors have repeatedly stated that they gave the FBI names. Their lawyers were present during interviews. Those interview memos are legally required to be released. They still haven't been. What we're watching now is a Justice Department scrambling. They didn't expect backlash. They didn't expect anger from their own political base over selective transparency. They didn't expect people to notice the 10 co-conspirators. But people did notice, and they should have. The law is clear. Reputational harm is not a valid excuse. Embarrassment is not a valid excuse. Not being charged is not a valid excuse. What appears to be happening is painfully simple. The Justice Department seems more focused on protecting powerful abusers than protecting survivors. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition. So yes, keep asking questions, keep pushing, because trusting the least transparent administration in modern history to investigate itself, honestly, isn't realism. It's denial. And the truth has a habit of surfacing, especially when the people trying to bury it keep tripping over their own incompetence.